Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Friend. Hey, how you doing today? You know, I thought I'd get into one of my favorite pastimes, looking at the covers of old comic books. I was doing this the other day, and I just saw something I thought was pretty amusing, so I thought I would share it with you. To that end, I thought we'd look at some of the covers from Fiction House. Fiction House was a comic book company. Well, they published pulp magazines for a while, but in the late 1930s, to a certain degree, like everybody else, they got into the comic book publishing industry. They're most famous for Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. She appeared in their first comic book, Jumbo Comics #1. And if you know anything about Fiction House, they're pretty famous for their depictions of female characters. Good girl art, or cheesecake, if you will. And as you look through the covers of all their comic books, it's pretty funny how pervasive that type of artwork is. Kind of highlight the humorousness of all this, I thought we'd take a look at the cover of Wings comic. Their comic book that focused mostly on airplanes and airplane adventures and pilot adventures, and I don't know how else more to say about that. Planes. It's a comic book about planes. So Wings Comics first came out in 1940, #1 issue here. Seems like it's what you would expect from a comic book about airplanes. You know, the fighting aces of the war skies. I suppose this is a little interesting because the United States didn't enter World War II at this time. The United States didn't officially enter World War II until 1941. But I assume, you know, by 1940 and probably even earlier, everybody knew it was coming at some point. But anyway, here's the first issue, and yeah, looks like what you'd expect. And they pretty much kept up with this. Here's issue #6. I feel like it must have been challenging to come up with different layouts of airplanes on the covers to make it look exciting. So, you know, by issue 11, they were trying to figure out how to put more traditional comic book covers in there. So, you know, issue 11 has a guy punching out a Nazi, not just shooting at their planes. Issue #14 is pretty typical for comic books. You know, so there's some guys fighting on airplanes, and I'm curious if this has ever happened in life. You know, looks like one pilot is jumped out of his plane because he's wearing his parachute, and he's landed on another plane, and now they're duking it out. Pretty sure the pilot in the parachute would probably just be killed if he tried to land on another airplane. Issue 20's kind of got a neat looking cover. But again, I mean, the planes bashing into each other is pretty cool. And then there's a guy falling here. I'm curious how he got in that position. I mean, did he jump out of the plane right before it smashed into the other one? I'm guessing that's the story. But again, I figure like he's probably just dead. Well, then after about 25 issues of playing it straight with planes and finding contrived ways for people to punch each other out on the cover, they got their first girl. Kind of has like your typical hallmarkings of female good girl artwork from back in the day. You know, her dress is being pulled down, running away from the evil, contorted looking bad guys trying to grab her. And then the handsome Caucasian man coming in to save her. But that was a little bit of a tryout. After that issue, they kind of went back to their typical stuff. Here's the cover for issue 36, which is pretty neat looking. I like how we're inside the gunner space, so we can look over his shoulders as he's firing at the Nazi planes there. And I apologize if these are some bad quality pictures. I do not own these comic books, so I'm just looking at pictures of them online, and couldn't always get good quality shots. But that is one interesting looking paint job on that plane. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, for comic book sense, yeah, it looks great. That's a cool looking plane. I'm surprised somebody doesn't use that today in a comic book. I'm kind of curious if that's the story listed as Rescue Raid of the Yank Eagle. Guessing that's the Yank Eagle there, and I'm really curious how that girl got on the wing there. Did he somehow fly by and scoop her up, or is she somehow falling out of the cockpit? I don't know. The attention to detail is nice. Look, they even got her pantyhose line on the back. Here's issue 61, and I don't know, I think this is just a cool looking cover here. Just these two gunners in the belly of the aircraft opening fire. And yeah, I just think this is a really cool looking cover. Now we get to issue number 69, and it looks like they're trying the girl angle again. Just looks like some random girl who was somehow hanging out on this plane. It went down with the plane. I guess she's got a little boo-boo on her wrist there. Lost her shoes, poor thing. Curious if that one is the Adventures of Suicide Smith. There's a name for you. Suicide Smith fights the Corsairs of the Monsoon Skies. Issue number 73, back to the girls. This one is looking more like a typical Fiction House cover. The girl is taking up so much space. Looks like she's stealing some documents. And the bad guy, who's got himself a nice little dragon on his plane, is opening fire on her. Next issue, issue number 74. This one's kind of amusing. They tried to have their cake and eat it too. So, you know, they've got their planes on the cover because it's Wings Comics. But they want a girl too, so they put her in a little bubble. And I guess she's supposed to be piloting the green plane there, blowing everybody to pieces. Can't quite tell exactly, but I'm guessing that's what's happened. And looking at the titles here, I wonder if that could be Madam Hellhawk. Madam Hellhawk is giving them hell. Now I skip a little to issue number 76. Don't know for sure, but is that Madam Hellhawk back for more? As she's battling whoever is hanging out there. I can see the signature of the artist on this one, and that is a Bob Lubbers cover. Lubbers, if I'm saying that right. Lubbers. Bob did a lot of work for a Fiction House, and I'm pretty sure he did all the covers for Wings. Now then they've gone back to regular covers. Number 81, trying to find more creative ways to get the airplanes in there, but get that human element in as well. You know, get human faces to show the drama rather than just, you know, cold emotional airplanes hanging in the sky. And here we go, issue number 82, and this is when Wings Comics just gave in and the girls took over. And doesn't get more Fiction House than that cover right there. There's our misshapen bad guy. It's got the girl in bondage here and her clothes ripped. It's funny how when you look at old good girl art, cheesecake art back in the day, it was the girls' outfits were always ripped. Comparing that today, you know, you don't have to rip the girl's outfit anymore. They're usually just wearing something skin tight and skimpy anyway, so you don't have to rip it. But back in the 40s, you had to rip it. Issue 83. Now we're on a raft boat. Some amusing marksmanship from the guy above, blasting the oar in half. I like how he seemingly shot the oar, but has somehow missed the boat. That's pretty lucky. Issue number 48. Another girl in a ripped dress. Not too sure about the perspective of this layout. You know, is the plane really in line with her? How close is it to her? Where's the guy on the ground with the machine gun? But doesn't matter. Just got to show off a girl and, you know, try to fit an airplane in there too. Oh, here's an amusing one. Somebody's having a really bad day with that one. Issue number 85 here. And I mean, she looks like some sort of stewardess to me, but she's got a gun strapped on her. So, you know, she meant business. And I guess the bad guy is kind of giving up here because he's got a grenade in his hand. So, I mean, maybe surviving is no longer an option. Now, it looks like he's got a parachute strapped on him. But the girl has got like some attaché case handcuffed to her wrist. That's just a great humorous cover, in my opinion. Issue number 86. Some sort of exotic female lead trying to cut her man out of a tree as I don't know what the heck those guys are. They look half Arabic and half African. They're brown skinned. That's all you need to know. They're brown skinned with no shirt on. They're bad guys. That's all. Now that arrow above her head is pretty amusing. I'm not sure how those three guys managed to, or sorry, four guys, how any of those four guys managed to hit the tree from that angle. The arrow made a big sharp U-turn. Here we go with issue 87. Look at this one. Sisters are doing it for themselves. Oh, it looks like the co-pilot's been killed here. So she's letting go with the, the anti-aircraft guns. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not a war expert. Is it an anti-aircraft gun if the gun is in the aircraft? I don't know. But anyway, she's letting fire with it, and she's still packing some side heat as well. That's the one thing that's interesting about the Fiction House comic books. Even though it's, good girl, cheesecake artwork, there she is with her shirt ripped again. Curious how that happened inside the plane, but, whatever. But their female characters were always pretty strong. I mean, look at Sheena. She was the hero. She was rescuing the guys all the time. So, Fiction House women were not always the damsels in distress, which is typically viewed. I mean, yes, they had some, but they also had, your tough fighting females like this one right here. Number 88, another really bad day. Yikes, she's going down. The wheels are out though, so I'm curious what's going on. It's an interesting angle on her too. Not so sure if Bob pulled off the anatomy correctly on this one. If her shoulders and hips could really do that. And there's not much of a twist in her waist. It just seems like her waist is straight and then her body just kind of goes. So maybe she's already dead. I don't know. What's next? Oh, here's a more traditional thing. Poor girl's got her outfit ripped and she's tied up. Issue number 89. And here comes somebody with guns blazing, and is he going to kill her or save her? I can't tell. Looks like he's going to crash right into everybody, actually. That's more typical. Oh, this is a good one, too. Number Wings Comics, number 90. I don't even know what she's tied up to. What is she supposed to be tied up to? Well, I think she's tied to the plane. She's tied to the plane, and yeah, I don't know what the heck. Yeah, I guess they're killing her. They left her armed, though. That's kind of strange. Her gun is still in the holster, so that's bizarre. And is she in the air already, maybe? She's dead if she was in the air already, right? But I'm kind of looking at the ground and her ankle, and I'm guessing her foot is snapped off or something at this point, because I just don't see it. But I feel like that's the typical good girl in peril artwork you would expect from Fiction House. When they were not doing their heroic girls. They both existed, but I feel like they had far more heroic girls than the other publishers. Number 91. Somebody really liked those girls tied up, so here's another one. This time it looks like they got her chained to some sort of rocket. Dress is ripped, but somehow she managed to keep her pumps on. Wow, people just keep falling out of airplanes in this series. Seems like every so many issues, somebody's falling out of an airplane. There's somebody else falling out of an airplane. In issue 92, she has such a stunned expression, which I suppose is natural. I mean, if I was just to drop out of an airplane, I'm pretty sure that would be my expression too. Just like, what? I'm also kind of taken by the size of the ladder the guy is hanging on there. That is one tiny ladder. Again, I'll say I have no idea how big a ladder on a plane like that would be, but I'm inclined to think it would be a little wider than that. Also looks like she was tied to something. Again, did he like swing by and grab her from off the ground, or was she falling? I can't. You're flying by in an airplane trying to grab somebody off the ground. I think you're all just dead. I don't think that's a rescue. I think that's a suicide maneuver. Oh, look at this one, issue number 93. Now this reminds me of Matt Baker's work. Now, Matt Baker was the artist on Phantom Lady. And that just looks like a Phantom Lady pose to me. Wearing blue is probably helping. But not only does she, what has she got there? I was going to say it's a gun holster, but maybe not. Maybe that's still part of her parachute. But she's coming down. She's got her Tommy gun, and now she's going to rescue the guy. See, it wasn't always female victims at Fiction House. She was the butt kicker, and Steve Trevor there is all tied up. Okay, I don't know how this happens. Issue number 94. I've seen it a couple of times where somebody's tied to the outside of the plane. This is another one where I feel like it's just they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. So, we got the girl, we got some airplanes, and we got facial expressions. So we got, drama and action all going on at one time. But really, I'm inclined to think somebody will die if you were to do this to them. You're not going to be sitting on the plane going, gee golly, how do I get out of this mess? I think it's just like you're pretty much dead. You'd probably be ripped off the plane, after one dive. And I like how the plane is on fire, so you figure she's got to be dead, unless they're going to do another one of the, plane's going to swoop by and grab her, and somehow they all live. All right, here we go, number 95 with the next one. Once again, she's got herself a Tommy gun, and she's just wailing. Looks like they got some guys lined up for a firing squad, and she's coming to the rescue. Makes me wonder who's flying the plane, but I'm sure when the plane gets low enough to the ground, she'll just dive roll, and she'll be fine. Here's another girl running away from. I'm guessing it's the Japanese of some sort with that tin hat, that tin pan hat somebody's wearing there. I don't know where they're shooting. It looks like he's shooting way off. It looks like he's shooting way wide to me as she's running towards us. There's a shot there by the pilot there too, but where did that shot come from? She's not shooting. Is that a shot she just took, or is that coming from the plane in the sky? Which again, I don't think that lines up. And this one, I guess it's ambiguous. Is she the good guy or is she the bad guy? She's running off with some jewels. I don't know. Buy the comic and find out. Only 10 cents. I wish they still were 10 cents. Oh, here's another girl running off with something. Issue number 97 here. She's, I can't tell what's going on here. I guess they're both in the cockpit and falling out for some reason. Oh, wait. I think that's supposed to be flames or smoke. It looks like some sort of purple wiggly line there. I think they've been shot down and now they're trying to find their way out. But she doesn't seem to have a parachute. So she's going to have a rough time of it. Issue number 98 now. Seems a little more subdued. Actually, it looks like a rushed cover too. Her facial features don't seem to fit on her face too well. They're a little slid. Trying something new, putting an alligator in there. Wings comic number 99. Another, we got to get out of this airplane. Here we go, issue 100. All right, at least it's a helicopter pulling her out. That seems more livable as opposed to an airplane, but it does look like that helicopter is booking pretty fast with those speed lines. And I sure hope that headset's not attached to anything or she's going to get a thrilling surprise when they lift her up into the air. Oh, issue number 101. This one's got a North by Northwest feel to it to me. Again, she's armed. These girls are armed and ready for action. But yeah, it reminds me of that Cary Grant movie, North by Northwest. Except this is like, 10 years before? I think this comic is from 1949. About 10 years before Alfred Hitchcock's. A little bit of everything in this one, though. Oh, it looks like she's losing her shoe. I don't think that shoe's attached. It's hard for me to tell. But it looks like her shoe fell off. Finally, some realism, right? Issue number 102, and that is quite an outfit. It almost looks like it's royal robes, and then she's being attacked by some wolves, and she's hitting them off with some sort of pipe. Looks like some sort of colonial day pipe. I think it's a wrench. Yeah, it's a wrench. That's a wrench she's swinging around at the wolves, who don't seem to be interested that there's a whole lot of frickin' gunfire going on in the background. But yeah, that jacket she's wearing, that's pretty weird looking to me. Okay, next is issue 103, and back to airplanes. Oh, looks like they took a break from the girls. Back to the airplanes. Yeah, issue 104, back to the girls. Ripped dress. Not particularly revealing, but hey, at least it's ripped, right? I guess that's what people care about. Again, I'm not too sure where these bullets are flying. the geometry or perspective, I'm not really sure what the proper term would be for that, but somehow these guns look like they should be pointing at us on some level, but instead they're shooting off to the side, hitting that statue. And even the guy with the Tommy gun, it seems like, yeah, you're shooting way wide, buddy. 105. Somebody brought the secretary in the plane. Who does that? She does not look like she was battle ready by any stretch of the imagination. That looks like a Diana Prince outfit. Issue 106. I like how we can see I should be looking at the girl, right? But instead I'm looking at the face of the guy in the airplane. It's just a funny looking face. I think old Bob there managed to, with just a few dash lines, make it look like he's actually looking down too. So that's pretty funny. Good job, Bob. Whoop. Here's another girl having a bad day. Hung up in a tree after parachuting down, and here comes the jaguar. The white one at that. I don't know, does that mean it's an albino, or did somehow a snow leopard get in the jungle? I don't know. And she's got the typical gun belt on, but I don't see the holster on the gun. Oh, looks like she's got cowboy boots on too. And a gun, the guy downstairs shooting his gun off. I think you're way wide, buddy. I think you're way wide. Issue 108 here, and we got a couple of girls. You can see a face just poking out of the life raft there. As the other girl's being carried off into, I don't know. The life raft was too dangerous, so they're just going to jump right into the ocean. But actually, looking at their angle, it looks like his hand is in front of the life preserver, so that means they're kind of going to run into the bars. I don't know. I guess things happen when you're sinking and running around with a girl in your arms. Oh, here's a creative one. Like I said, I feel, Bob Lumber had to come up with various scenarios to put on this cover to not be boring week after week, month after month. And so 109 got an Indiana Jones-like adventure as the girl's trying to climb up and the gunner's going for her. Curious why he's targeting her so much, but oh well, I guess he figures the guy on the bridge is already dead, so time to get her. And I think that's it. I think that's the last girl cover for Wings. At some level, it's stunning that they have any girl covers on Wings Comics, but they did about 27 issues in a row featuring the typical Fiction House girl. And here's the one first after. Look at this, 110. What the heck? Is that General MacArthur in an airplane blasting away? And wait, there's a girl there. She's got her back to us, though, in some kind of funky crown. But again, I'm looking at the guy just because he's so bizarre looking. He's just so happy he's doing the old, I got him, not realizing that they're going to blow his head off in about 5 seconds. What else did they do before they wrapped up? Wings number 112. Ooh, a little bit of a sci-fi angle there. Look at that. Not sure how it maneuvers, but pretty cool. And that's a nice cover. Look at this, 118. I like that cover. I like the purple of the smoke. Playing cards are a neat element, but yeah, that's a nice one. I like that. 119. Yeah, I like this one too. It's kind of a cool looking fantasy plane shooting by there. Not so sure why he's so happy to hold up his 4 fingers. Score 4. I guess he shot down 4 planes, but considering all the carnage going on in the background, we got submarines, choo-choo trains, junks. Congratulations, you shot 4. Look at the jets coming out of that plane too. I don't think you can turn a corner like that. It's kind of a neat cover too. I like this one. This one is 123. Plane swooping in low, and I assume these guys are not all together. They're in some sort of radio room. Aircraft flash, enemy jets, 700 miles per hour. It's a red blitz. Da, da, da. As you can see, we're in the 1950s now. And that's when Wing Comics wrapped up. Here's the last issue. All new Jet Aces of Warbird Skies. But there's helicopters on the covers instead. But that was it for Wings Comic, and that was pretty much it for Fiction House as well. Pretty much when Fiction House went out of business. Everybody likes to blame the comic book hearings of the early 1950s as putting an end to Fiction House. I'm inclined to believe that there are other things going on. Usually when a company goes out of business, there's a whole lot of mismanagement going on. It's not just one little thing. It's interesting to me how they started out by showing airplanes on the cover, and then they switched to girls, which were selling all their other comic books. And then they switched back to airplanes. And again, that's not because of the comic book hearings. I'm guessing the girls weren't selling the airplane books, so they took them off. Didn't have anything to do with complaints, at least not from the Senate hearings, because they still had girls all over their other comic books until the end. And I'm inclined to think that these are the comic books that were being sold to mostly to GIs, and then when they came back overseas, that they were reading them as well, as opposed to these comic books being strictly for kids. Guys in the Army used to always get comic books, and when they came back overseas, they would read the comic books. Then after the comic book hearing, comic books were made strictly for kids, and older people stopped reading them completely. But anyway, there you are. I thought that was pretty amusing how they, even in Wings comic, Fiction House found a way to stick a girl on every cover. It must have been difficult coming up with scenarios month after month, like I had said before. But anyway, good job, Bob Lumber. You might not have been a Matt Baker, but you did well enough, sir. What do you think about that? Are all those covers as amusing to you as they are to me? Let me know. And of course, thanks for spending the time with me. And if you could be so kind to like, subscribe, and notify, well, take a look at some old covers again sometime. Take care of yourself.